Welcome to Midnight Story. Tonight, I'm going to tell you a story about a place that isn't supposed to exist. A place not listed on any map, not recorded in any GPS database, yet travelers swear they've seen it with their own eyes. A highway exit that appears only once, only when you're alone, and only when something heavy has been sitting in your heart for far too long. My name is Daniel Carter. I'm 41, a graphic designer, and a man who was trying desperately to put the broken pieces of his life back together. I was driving from Phoenix to Denver, heading to see my brother after 2 long years of silence. The kind of silence that grows heavier the more time passes. The kind where you want to fix things, but you don't know how to take the first step, or whether the other person even wants you to. It was late. The desert was dark and still. The sky stretched endlessly above me, and all I could hear was the steady hum of my engine. My GPS told me to continue straight for another 162 miles. Nothing but open road. And then, it happened. The GPS glitched. At first I thought it was normal, maybe a bad signal. But then a new blue route appeared, slowly drawing itself across the screen. A turn. A road that definitely didn't exist. And the voice said, calm and robotic, "Take exit 47 toward Harbor's Edge." I frowned. I had driven this highway so many times. There was no exit 47. I looked back at the road, and that's when my heart stopped. There it was. A large reflective sign glowing in my headlights. Exit 47 Harbor's Edge. My stomach tightened. None of this made sense. I knew every exit on this stretch of road. But something deep inside me, something quiet, whispered, "Take it." I don't know why I listened. Maybe I was tired. Maybe I was curious. Maybe I was running from something I didn't want to face. But I turned the wheel, and my car rolled onto the ramp. Immediately, I noticed the weirdest thing. The pavement felt too smooth. Perfect. New. Streetlights stood in a perfect line, evenly spaced like some kind of model highway. The air felt still. Almost like the world had stopped moving. At the end of the ramp was a small wooden sign. Old, worn, carved by hand. "Welcome to Harbor's Edge." But there was no harbor. No water. Just quiet desert stretching into the darkness. I drove slowly through what looked like a small American town. White picket fences. Warm porch lights. Rocking chairs gently swaying, even though there wasn't a breeze. Every house had one light on in the exact same spot right by the front door. It looked like people had just stepped inside moments before I arrived. But there wasn't a single person. No cars. No animals. No sound. Then I saw the neon glow. A diner. Marlene's Diner. The open sign flickered warmly in the window. The parking lot was empty, but the lights inside were on. I pulled in, feeling my heartbeat in my ears. When I opened the door, the bell above it chimed, just like it would in any small-town diner. But no one was there holding it. It moved, on its own. The place looked frozen in time. Checkered floor, red leather booths, an old jukebox humming gently in the corner. And a coffee pot on the counter, steam rising softly from the spout as if someone had just brewed a fresh pot. Then I saw her. A woman with long gray hair, wearing a blue cardigan. She sat at the counter with her back to me, hands folded neatly in front of her. Before I could say a word, she spoke. "Took you long enough, Daniel." My throat tightened. She said my name. I had never seen this woman before in my life. I stepped closer. How do you know my name?" She didn't turn around. She simply slid a cup of coffee toward the empty stool next to her. "Everyone who comes here is lost," she said softly. "And everyone who's lost finds Harbor's Edge." Her voice wasn't threatening. It was gentle, sad, like she understood something about me that I didn't even understand myself. I sat down. The coffee was hot, fresh, real. "Where am I?" I asked. She finally turned her head and looked at me. Her eyes were warm but filled with something heavy. Something old. "This is the town you see when you're carrying something too heavy for too long." I shook my head. "I don't understand." She gave me a sympathetic smile. "Why were you really driving tonight?" The truth slipped out before I even realized it. "My brother. We haven't spoken in years. I'm trying to fix things but I don't know if I can." She nodded, as if she already knew. People come to Harbor's Edge when they're at a crossroads they can't cross alone. I felt something inside me unravel. Something I'd locked away. Is this even real?" She tilted her head slightly. Real enough to change you. Real enough to show you what you've been hiding from. Then she placed something on the counter. A photograph. My breath caught in my throat. It was me, at 5 years old, standing with my brother, the day before our father walked out of our lives forever. My hands shook. Where did you get this? Her voice softened. This town shows you the memories that built your walls, the ones you buried to survive. I felt tears burn in my eyes. I hadn't seen this picture since I was a kid. It hit me harder than I expected. I want to fix things, I whispered. But I don't know how. She slowly stood up and walked toward the diner door. When she opened it, I saw something that made my heart thunder in my chest. The road that led back to the highway was gone. In its place were two paths. One bright and clear, leading outward toward the desert beyond. The other dark, shadowed, barely visible. She pointed toward the darker one. If you want answers, she said softly, you'll have to face what's waiting for you. What's waiting? I asked. She looked at me with a sadness that felt ancient. Your past. I don't know what made me walk toward that dark road. Maybe curiosity. Maybe pain. Maybe the part of me that was tired of running from memories that still controlled my life. As I walked deeper into the town, the air grew colder. The lights grew dimmer. The houses began to look warped, like reflections in rippling water. And then, I saw it. My childhood home, perfectly recreated, every detail exactly as I remembered. The faded paint, the crack in the window, the dent in the front door from where my father slammed it one night. My legs felt weak. Inside, I heard voices. My mother's trembling words, my father's footsteps, heavy with anger, my younger brother crying, and the soft, scared voice of my 5-year-old self. The walls were alive with memories. Shadows replaying moments I had spent years trying to forget. I watched my father leave, slamming the door so hard the house shook. I watched my mother break down on the couch. I watched my brother hide behind me, terrified. I watched myself try to be strong, too young to carry that burden. I wanted to tell the child I once was that none of this was his fault. That he didn't have to be strong. That he didn't have to pretend. At the end of the hallway, I saw him. My younger self. Small. Hurt. Crying silently. He looked up at me with big, broken eyes. Don't let him leave, he whispered. Something inside me shattered. I knelt down. Kid, I can't change the past. He shook his head, tears streaming down his cheeks. Then stop letting it control you. The house shook violently. The memories faded like mist. In the next moment, everything went dark. When the light returned, I was standing in the middle of the road. The town around me flickering like a dying projection. Harbor's Edge was disappearing. And before it vanished completely, I heard the woman's voice one last time. Go fix what's still alive. Suddenly, I was back in my car. On the highway. Exit 47 nowhere to be found. My GPS calmly recalculated. Continue straight for 162 miles. I drove the rest of the way with a strange sense of clarity. A lightness I hadn't felt in years. When I arrived at my brother's house, I didn't wait. I hugged him, and for the first time, the weight we'd both carried began to lift. I now know why Harbor's Edge appears only once. Because it's not a place you find on a map. It's a place you find when you're finally ready to let go. So if one night, you're driving alone, tired, hurt, carrying something too heavy, and your GPS suddenly says, take exit 47 toward Harbor's Edge. Don't be afraid. If you are new my channel, please subscribe and press bell icon. Maybe the road you need most is the one that shouldn't exist. Calm down. Close your eyes. Sweet dreams. Good night.